All right. This is David, and I'm with Will, and we're going to be talking about the World Cup today. And today it starts. It's going to be Russia versus Saudi Arabia, which is like not the most. It's not the most enthralling of encounters, but it's the freaking World Cup. We all need to be excited. Um, and I think me myself, I'm ready to go. The World Cup only comes around once every 4 years. And if we're talking about like memories, like my first memory I had of the World Cup was in 2002,
Mhm.
and each every 4 years since then, it's kind of like you look forward to that 2 months of top class, well, mostly top class football, the drama, the excitement, the goals, the stories, and I'm ready to talk with you for the next over the next 2 months and create more memories. So,
Absolutely.
Will, what have you got to say?
Yeah, like my first memories of World Cup is probably USA '94, so I might be showing my age as being older than you. Uh, 8 years of a difference there, but yeah, no, the drama around the World Cup is always something that the world kind of gets engrossed in. Obviously, we're both based in Ireland, but Ireland aren't in the World Cup, so there hasn't been quite the hype that previous tournaments would have had when we have been involved. But the hype is real now. Everything's going to be kicking off in probably just under an hour's time with the opening ceremony. So looking forward to seeing nice snapshots of Vladimir Putin looking strong and proud of his nation for hosting the World Cup. Not really looking forward to the game too much. Obviously, you kind of
Mm,
alluded to the teams not being glamour tied to kick it off. Kind of preferred the old method of the defending champions being the opening game, but
yeah.
it is what it is. They've changed it to be the host. So hopefully the Russian fans are being strong voice to add to the drama and have a nice atmosphere for the game, even if the football on
Mm.
the pitch isn't scintillating.
And today, as you've alluded to, first game is Russia versus Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
and we are talking about the World Cup, so we do have to talk about this game. And you have actually the Russian team. Well, the team you think is going to line up for Russia. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so it's kind of like scouring the web to see what people think are going to be the starting lineup. So it is very much a guess. Obviously, we don't have too much information in on Russia as we would have on other teams. So it's always going to be a guess, no matter how well you know a team. But this is kind of like the predicted lineup. So obviously, I think people will remember Akinfeev. He's been there since early 2000 or mid 2000s, was the keeper for their 2008 run to the European Championship semi-finals. So too is
Mm-hmm.
Zherkov, who Chelsea fans might remember. So I think the common kind of consensus is that Russia are going to play kind of a three at the back, three defenders and two wing backs, and Fernandez looks like a good kind of right back. So he might impress and potentially get a move to a big kind of European side
Yeah.
in Russia. So looks like they're going to be three at the back, trying to keep it quite defensive. And obviously, their players like Golovin and Zagov, they're probably their two best creative players. So they'll probably swap sides as
Mm-hmm.
well, kind of pop up in the middle. One player might join Smolov up front. It's pretty much like their only kind of recognized striker. I think there's only two players in the whole squad that have scored more than 10 goals for the Russian national team. So
Yeah.
they definitely won't be high scorers, even against a weaker team like Saudi Arabia. So I don't think there'll be a lot of goals, but they will look to play, with their wing backs kind of overlapping. One of the defensive midfielders kind of dropping into kind of cover, and then allowing Zagov and Golovin to kind of do their magic. And it's kind of similar to Egypt in a lot of ways, where their strategy is get the ball to Salah. I think the Russian strategy would be get the ball to Zagov or Golovin. So two is
Mm.
better than one. They're neither kind of can compete with Salah, but having two technical players obviously kind of puts them in good position to be able to attack and kind of give teams problems.
I think I think now I'm going away from the tactical aspect. Russia and the World Cup, they would not be here if they were not hosting it. Uh, from the media I've been consuming over the last couple of days, the population of Russia, the fans, just the everyday people, they do not expect to do anything in this tournament at all. Uh, So I think it's going to be an opportunity for players such as Golovin, such as Fernandez to impress, maybe look at improving their stock, maybe improving their value in the market. Um, and just an opportunity to kind of just have a good time. You look back to tournaments such as the US when they held it in the 90s, to even the most recent one that I can remember, South Africa, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And those two teams weren't really expected to do much, but you know, the fans created an atmosphere, and the teams, they played it with their hearts out. Obviously, the Russians don't want to just get blown out each week or each game, but if they can put in some solid performances, and I think it's really up to the fans in Russia. Obviously, there's a lot of fear that there's going to be major hooliganism, obviously due to Euro 16. But if they can prove the media and international fans wrong and create a nice positive atmosphere, create an atmosphere for the team to actually perform onto the pitch and perform to the potential, I think they can have a good time. Team, fans, players alike.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel that in terms of this game, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Russia, two very weak teams. I feel that Russia are going to go out and attack. I know you said there's not that many goals in this team, which is a fair enough analysis, but they don't have too many opportunities to really go out and give their fans a show to say. And Saudi Arabia will be one of those. They've never made it out the group stages in any World Cup, and usually they're just happy to make the World Cup themselves. So if there is one game to kind of set the Russian fans alight, this has to be it. Any news on the Saudi Arabian team?
And just kind of getting it up there now, just kind of basing it off kind of news reports. But I think Russia, being able to start with home advantage against probably the weakest team in their group. Obviously, if they get a win, then that could set them up greatly for the next stage. So I think a lot will kind of depend on how they get on today, and if they win, then I think that will be kind of great for their chances of kind of making it out to the next kind of stage. So just talking about Saudi Arabia, so I think I've got a pretty much set up of how the media at least are kind of expecting the team to line up. Actually, one last player who's might make it in.
Al-Dasari.
Yeah, so apparently he's very fast and talented player. So I think he's possibly one player to kind of look out for.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, this seems like a team that's mainly based in the Middle East.
Yeah,
not too
definitely.
many European or South American players.
Yeah, like I don't recognize any of these players other than kind of what I've been reading over the last kind of 2 or 3 weeks in the build up. Trying to educate myself about this team. So
I have no idea who anyone on this team is.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of line up. So the common kind of wisdom on the internet anyway is that they've been kind of lining up in a 4-3-3. Obviously they qualified as the winners of their group. They beat out Australia on goal difference. They did score, but a lot of goals in qualifying. So
can you actually? I'll find this information myself. I just want to know who won that game, Australia or Saudi Arabia, because a lot of people. Did you see that video that Jose Mourinho did? And I think he said Australia will make it out of the group. So
I got Australia in one of my sweepstakes, so that gives me a little bit more hope. But I wouldn't have thought Australia would be favorites to get out in any shape or form. But I guess we can talk about that group in games once we get to it. This is while you're kind of finding that information. Here's what people are kind of expecting the Saudi Arabian team to kind of line up with. The Houthis, they're kind of experienced defenders who will kind of give them that bit of
any relation there, or
not 100% sure. But we can find that out. I'm sure some of the commentators today will be kind of going through that. So there's kind of two options in terms of the defensive midfield. So Akteev probably be more like the defensive midfielder. I'll just say might pop in next to him, and he's more of a deep lying kind of playmaker. So he'd be kind of the screener looking to break up play, and Al Jassim will kind of drop in to get the ball from the centre backs and from the goalkeeper. They will probably try and look to play a bit of the ball, but they're not opposed to kind of going wide and going long if their initial kind of tactics don't work. And they will try and look to kind of set up counter attacks. And the Sarri, he kind of looks like one of the best kind of players in terms of being able to attack from wide and looking to supply the striker with some balls in. So being told to kind of watch out for the wide forwards to swap positions and look to kind of mix it up against kind of an old Russian defense. So they might look to use some of their legs to get past some of those Russian defenders.
Interesting. It looks like that team is kind of set up, to attack on the counter. And I really feel, like I just mentioned, that if Russia do intend to impress and control and dominate possession, that, this could actually set up a an avenue to victory for Saudi Arabia. I'm kind of looking at the guy you mentioned, Al Dawsari and Fahad Al Muwalad. And I think those two look like some like two speedsters, and while like what he may lack in maybe pedigree, maybe the experience he's gained over playing in the Middle East can make up in terms of nicking a few goals for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. No, it's we're kind of stepping into the unknown here of how these two teams are going to really play. Obviously, just kind of consuming as much information as we can from YouTube videos and articles, and some kind of last minute rumors in terms of the lineup today. So yeah, it'll definitely be an interesting game today. Might not be the most entertaining,
True.
But will definitely be interesting to say the least. Anyway, so we'll see how it goes.
Now, what's the odds telling us?
So I'm just gonna check that. I prefer decimal odds, so I'm just gonna save that so we can have a better understanding of what we're looking at.
We are not sponsored by Paddy Power.
We're not sponsored by Paddy Power.
Not yet.
Exactly. No, we can put in a few words to see if they'd be interested in joining the as yet untitled football chat show with David and Will. But obviously here we can see the odds for the Russia versus Saudi Arabia game. So it's kind of going heavy favorite on Russia. So they're at 1.44. So odds on.
I'm not surprised.
The away team are almost 10-1. So about a 10% chance of what Paddy Power is kind of giving it. Obviously the draw then like 4-1. So that might be where the value is. So they're obviously giving the home advantage quite a heavy leaning. Obviously, a lot of their players play in the Champions League and Europa League, so I think that might be part of the reason as well. So that's what the odds say. We shall see if that holds up.
Now, I think we've both covered all bases in terms of Russia and Saudi Arabia. I kind of want to just talk now about the World Cup overall. I think when Russia was picked all those years ago, a lot of people weren't happy, but we've kind of now come accustomed that it is, taking place here. What type of World Cup do you think it would be? And like in terms of, previous ones, do you think it will be one that will be remembered, such as 2002 in Tokyo, or was the US '94, or South Africa 2010? Or because like I look at some other World Cups, the one that stands out to me, I think it was 2006 in Germany. Like I always forget that one even happened. So like what type of World Cup do you think? Do you think there'll be drama-filled moments, be one to remember decades time?
It's an interesting one because obviously the drama's yet to unfold, and the last minute news about Spain sacking their manager, kind of adds a whole different thing. So it's kind of like similar to fallouts that we've seen from the Dutch team or the French team in competitions gone past. not similar to Roy Keane and Saipan in Ireland, but it's kind of last minute drama. So even coming into the tournament, there has been kind of drama building. Russia is a massive country, so I think there'll be a lot of traveling for fans. And then obviously there is the kind of off the field kind of concern. So I'm hoping that's not what this World Cup is memorable for. Hopefully it's great attacking football, both in the group stages and once we get to the knockout stages. But yeah, like obviously coming into every World Cup, everyone's going to be hyped and excited for the best. So I'm hoping that will kind of pull through. Just kind of thankful there's no Vuvuzela or the Russian version.
Yeah.
That was cool.
As
first game, and then just
as like I'm originally from Nigeria, so I'd be watching the African Cup of Nations a lot. So I was kind of used to hearing that sound. It was just like in the background, but I understand a lot of non-Africans were not used to that. But I'm sure, like you said, Russia it's gonna add its own kind of a unique twist to it. I think Russia's got an unfairly bad rap as well. Many people, because of maybe Putin and his kind of very political, his political views and his political actions. Also, I don't know, this is kind of off topic, maybe a little bit, but Kadyrov in Chechnya? Is it Chechnya?
Chechnya.
And apparently the Egyptian base is there, and he was seen taking a picture with Mohamed Salah. So there was controversy that he was using Salah's image as a way of gaining some political leverage. So if we can kind of separate the politics from Russia, Russia can be an amazing place.
Definitely.
And I would, if I had the opportunity to go there now, I'll be there in a second. So I'm very looking forward to seeing how it unfolds. I'm gonna now challenge you to some top of your head answers. So I hope you're ready.
Bring it on.
First one's gonna be top scorer.
Top goal scorer. Gonna go for Neymar.
Neymar.
Yeah,
okay.
I think Brazil will get quite far, and they definitely like to score a lot of goals. So I think once they can kind of beat a team, they're not afraid to just go out and absolutely embarrass teams. Obviously, they were embarrassed the last times themselves, losing to Germany 7-1. So I think they might look to extract some revenge at this tournament. Obviously, he's been injured for quite a bit of the season, so he's only kind of back now. But I don't know, did you see one of his goals in the warm-ups?
Oh yeah, that was a very pretty goal.
Yeah. So I think it will probably come from one of the favorite teams, and I think he's probably like one of the best strikers in the world if he's fully fit. So I'll probably go with Neymar.
My pick is gonna be, I don't know if it's controversial or not, but it's gonna be Cavani.
Okay.
And my reason is, like, you look at the way he plays at PSG. That guy's an all-out goal scorer. Doesn't offer any. All right, maybe it's physical presence, but I don't see him as. He doesn't offer that much. He reminds me of Zlatan Ibrahimovic in a way, or Ronaldo, modern day Ronaldo, in terms of he just plays within the box. Suarez is slightly more mobile, and Suarez does definitely have the potential to be a Golden Boot winner himself, but he's a lot more integral to the way they play, in terms of build-up play, in terms of passing the ball, getting the ball to other players, and he will be marked heavily because he is probably their shining light in that team. So Cavani also has the quality to put chances away. So he's my pick. Second one is who's going to get the most clean sheets. Which team or which goal? Probably team makes more sense, because the reason I ask is because apparently it's not the team with the best goal scorer that seems to win. It's the team with the best defense that always seems to at least make it to the final.
That's interesting. So I'm just looking at the odds here while you were kind of talking about the top goal scorer. So Neymar is actually favorite. So he's 8-1. So that's not a bad odds rate for him. But I think you'll get some good odds of 20-1 on Edison Cavani. So
Edison Cavani. So what's the top three there?
Top three: Neymar, Antoine Griezmann, and Messi.
Ooh, I was thinking Griezmann. I don't think Messi. I don't see too many goals in Argentina myself.
Yeah, no, they didn't really score many in qualifying. But I definitely thought you were going to say Antoine Griezmann.
Yeah, I was thinking he was my probably second option, but I'm sticking with Cavani.
Did you see the French press conference the other day where they were like, only questions in French, none allowed in any other language, and then a Spanish?
I did not hear that.
Yeah,
no.
so a Spanish journalist is there in the audience, and he's like got the microphone, and he's holding up his phone to Google Translate, and it's like, oh, have you decided on your future yet? Are you going to commit to Atletico Madrid, or are you going to move to somewhere else? And they just like Griezmann just started laughing, but the press after was like, no, we said only French. And man's like, that isn't French. So
Wow,
that was kind of funny. So
that's very cheeky.
yeah, very cheeky. Yeah. So the press will always kind of do things, and I think it's quite funny and inventive to use a bit of modern technology to circumvent some rules. And yeah, I don't think it will affect Griezmann in any way. Like, I think he's well used to
Yeah,
dealing
of
with
course.
speculation and stuff. But he could be up for a big money move. So I think if he's top goal scorer at the end of it, then add on a couple of extra million.
Yeah, of course, a couple 100 million maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. So to go back, who do you think is gonna have the best defense? Which keeper, let's say.
Which keeper?
Yeah.
I'd probably look at France. I am a Tottenham fan. And Hugo Lloris, like I think he is a good goalkeeper. I don't think he's by any means the best in the world. Probably not even top 5. But I think that French group is pretty weak. I think it's kind of set up for them to kind of dominate teams. They do well. They don't have like a very experienced center back and defensive midfield, but I think they're kind of set up nicely. Obviously, we can talk about their team once their games are coming up, but Varane and then Kante in front, kind of sweeping up. I think they'll be very solid, and then obviously look to kind of punish teams as well. So yeah, I'll probably look to France or Hugo Lloris as the Golden Glove. Is that what the prize
Golden
is?
Glove, I think.
Golden Glove.
I kind of disagree with you. Don't get me wrong. Like, I feel France. I think France are my picks to win the whole thing. I just feel, but I feel it's the other end of the pitch that their strengths lie. Like, their firepower is just unbelievable. That's why it's hard to even pick Griezmann to be top scorer, because they got so many other guys that won't probably want to put in the back of the net. But my pick for best, most clean sheets or best defense, it's probably going to be Spain, if they can keep things together, because you look at the way they play, and if it's gonna be the Spain, the way they played over the last, say, 10 years in terms of heavy possession, tiki-taka sort of football, that type of way of playing doesn't concede too many goals. I'm not saying they've got the best defense in themselves, but the system in which they play with, dominating possession. If they do lose, it's most likely going to be like a 1-0 loss or a 2-1 loss. They're not going to be letting in 2 or 3. And then obviously, if there is any worldies going to get close, you got David De Gea in goals. In De Gea we trust. Yeah. So that would be De Gea or Spain would be my pick for conceding the least amount of goals.
Yeah, no, I can see a lot of that. Obviously, you kind of alluded to De Gea being best goalkeeper in the world. They've got a very set kind of structure, PK and Ramos in front of them, both nearing the end of the careers probably, but hugely experienced. And then Busquets up in front of them, kind of cleaning up.
And that team doesn't depend on physical attributes, Like Iniesta just left, he's finished at Barcelona, but he's still probably going to be starting for Spain.
Yeah.
Which tells you a lot about just the way they play and what they value in a player. It's not about the physical attributes, it's about the mental and technical attributes with the Spanish team.
Definitely. I will put one caveat on that, though, and that's how they performed at the last World Cup. So losing 5-1 to the Netherlands.
That was such an anomaly, though. We have to admit, that was very crazy.
Yeah.
So the next one I'm going to throw at you is Dark Horse. Which team do you feel? And I want you to bring up the odds. Can you bring up the odds for 1 second, right?
Yeah, and winning the competition?
Yeah. And you can't pick a team that's rated in the top 8.
In the top 8, okay. So
yeah, of the odds that you pick.
Yeah, that moves out Brazil, Germany, Spain, France, Belgium, Argentina, England, Portugal. So we're just looking at this section here. The top 8 really, like, they definitely have.
It's a tough question because,
very much is. In terms of winning it, I guess I'll probably go for Colombia.
Colombia?
Yeah.
Why so?
I think they've got a lot of kind of high quality players. Obviously, a lot of people will be familiar with kind of Falcao and James Rodriguez. I think they've got a lot of goals between them. I think it was the last World Cup where James Rodriguez scored a lot of goals and scored some absolute crackers and kind of got his move to Real Madrid. Obviously, it hasn't really kind of worked out there for him.
He's
But I
my
think
minute
there's
now.
yeah, yeah. But I think there's a lot of quality kind of around the pitch for them. So Davinson Sanchez plays for Tottenham as a centre back.
Yeah.
A Barcelona new recruit, Mina, also plays for centre back. Hasn't really got into the Barcelona team just yet because he only joined in January, but they rate him highly, and he's another kind of young, talented centre back. So yeah, I think as a dark horse, then I think they might have it. Because obviously Uruguay would be the immediate pick just looking at the odds, but I think in a true dark horse kind of special, I go for Colombia.
Colombia, that's a very interesting one. I'm just gonna have to take a look myself here. Can you name the top 8 again for me?
Yeah, can you not see that screen now?
Let me see. No, I can't. Oh yeah, can you just even put it up for me there? I can't see it.
You can't see it. Should be there, but I'll just call them out to you. So the top 8 are Brazil, Germany, Spain, France, Belgium, Argentina, England, and Portugal.
I guess in terms of a dark horse, damn.
Stumped by your own question.
Yeah, I have to say, because it's hard to say, all right, I believe in this team that's gonna win. I guess Uruguay has to be the one.
Yeah, if you're going for Cavani as the top scorer, it kind of makes sense to double up.
They're a strong team. And like they've always gone far. Actually, if you haven't noticed in the last couple of World Cups,
Definitely.
If it wasn't for actually in 2010 it was because of Uruguay that they made it one extra round. But then in the last one, I guess Suarez had a bit of some controversy that kind of got him suspended for Ban Chiellini. So, but if
people are saving,
yeah, if Suarez can keep his teeth inside his mouth and just stick to the football, I do believe they can definitely go far. And like if they make the finals, they can beat any team. I feel one off. So
yeah, definitely. Like when you look at their kind of center backs, the 2 starting center backs for Atletico Madrid, so very defensively solid. And then you've kind of mentioned about Suarez and Cavani, 2 great strikers. So goal scorers and goal stoppers. That's a pretty good setup. And as you can imagine, the last few tournaments they've been doing quite well, and they qualified behind Brazil in qualification. So they beat out likes of Argentina, Colombia, and players and teams like that. And obviously Chile didn't even qualify, who have a very good squad and stuff. So they came through a tough qualifying group pretty easily. So
cool. So I know now we're running out of time here.
Yep.
But I've got 2 more questions. And they're gonna kind of stump you, but let's see if we can get these out nice and quickly. First one is, who's gonna be the player that's gonna break out? Like, which young player do you feel is gonna be gonna take the moment in hand?
Okay, it's a very interesting question because obviously, each team probably has one of those kind of players in their ranks. But in terms of an overall kind of star, Do you have an answer for this question?
I do. It's kind of
lead with it, so
it's very hopeful, but I do believe Marcus Rashford could do something. Obviously, during the season of Manchester United, it's been kind of lukewarm. Sometimes he has a good run in the team. Jose Mourinho kind of trusts him. Then other times, he's just not there. He's just not in the squad, and then when he comes on, his confidence may be low. But one thing I've noticed for the longest time is that Gareth Southgate seems to trust the young players in the English setup. And you look at Harry Kane, being named captain, and he's fairly young himself. He's, I know he's how old is he? 25, 26, something like that.
Yeah.
24. So even that's very young. I was even going to say that he's young enough just being a world-class player, never mind his age, but 24 is still young in itself. You look at Sterling as well, kind of growing in to himself. You look at Stones at the back. So he seems to believe in youth. And I feel when Rashford has someone to believe in him, when Van Gaal threw him in all those years ago, that gave him kind of the confidence to kind of perform without any pressure. I feel he plays with more pressure with Jose, because Jose being himself.
Yeah.
But Gareth Southgate, allows for mistakes, allows for creativity. And there's one game, was it in qualifying against, I'm not sure, it was Lithuania or something, where he scored 2 really good goals. And it just showed the potential this guy has. He's got great pace, he can finish. And then, yeah, Marcus Rashford is that guy.
Cool. Interesting.
Such a long answer.
Yeah. So yeah, like obviously I think there's kind of a number of different players, and there's a lot of young exciting players kind of coming through, but player that's been kind of heavily linked with a move to your team, Man United, and other teams aside, is the Serbian guy. He plays for Lazio, Milinkovic
Yeah, I love it.
Savic. So Lazio apparently already turned down 100 million offers, so he might not be completely unknown, but I think for a lot of players or a lot of fans who don't watch Lazio, which is in the English-speaking world, probably not that many people. So I think he might do a lot of good things. And I think Serbia have a good chance of potentially getting out of their group. So I think he might be one of those kind of players that might be able to announce himself on the world stage. And then obviously Lazio are probably hoping for that, so they can get an extra
big bucks,
couple of tens or 100 millions, as you kind of said before. So that'd be my pick. But obviously there's young players in, as you mentioned, like the English squad, the French squad, the Belgian squad, the Brazilian squad. Like there's a lot
of really talented tournament.
It is, yeah. And like World Cups are great for that, like the experienced pros, like the Messi, Ronaldo type players, but there's always the young players and the unknowns to the wider public that just kind of announce themselves and kind of take over. So it's probably one of the most exciting parts of the World Cup, the unknown of what players will rise to this occasion. Probably will get a lot of players moves. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So it'll be exciting anyway to see who's gonna be the player coming out of nowhere to kind of take that crown.
And the last question, and I'll do it really quick. Player of the tournament. I'll try and I'll lead first. My player of the tournament is plain and simple, Antoine Griezmann from France. I believe that team is set up for him. I like that dance, but I feel that team is set up for him. You got guys like Pogba, Mbappe, other players that are gonna be putting him a lot of quality service, and he's just turned from originally a left winger into one of the most lethal goal scorers in the whole world. So he can do it all. He can assist, he can score, he can pass, he can drift in, he can make things difficult. He's gonna be, in my opinion, a future Ballon d'Or winner. And Antoine Griezmann is my player of the tournament.
Okay, good call.
Potential player of the tournament.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go for Philippe Coutinho.
Coutinho, interesting.
So obviously he's kind of made that big money move to Barcelona, and he's kind of bedded in there quite well. Likes to score from long range, so he might have some screamers, which I always think kind of help players to kind of pick up awards like that. But then you kind of look at his skills on the ball, and he can kind of play in a lot of players within kind of incisive passing, kind of dropping deep to pick up the ball, bringing it forward, operating between the lines. So then having players like Neymar and Jesus kind of next to him, I think he can set them up quite a bit. So I don't think he's going to be top goal scorer, but I think he might be the top assister of the tournament. So I think that might be kind of a good shout of what to look for in terms of getting player of the tournament, or the Golden Ball, I think it's called, is the name of that award. So yeah, I'm going to go for Philippe Coutinho.
All right. So I think we're going to wrap things up from here. We've gone through a lot of stuff in a short period of time. And we're going to be looking forward to watching the the Russia versus Saudi Arabia. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, we're not looking forward to watching Russia versus Saudi Arabia, but we will watch it anyways because that is technically what we're supposed to do, and
Yep.
we'll be back later on today with a review of the game and some more analysis going forward.
Yep.
Anything to add, Will?
That sounds great. I've just got one question for you. And what
Yep.
controversy is Luis Suarez going to be involved in? So we kind of mentioned earlier that 2010 he saved on the line against Ghana to knock them out. 2014 he bit Chiellini on the shoulder. So what's he going to do this time?
I have a feeling it's probably going to involve biting someone else. To be honest, I'm not. If what I love about him is he'll do anything for his team if it
Yeah, he just
means
wants to
they're
win.
gonna scrape a bit close to that tournament. So I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm going to go for he's probably going to spit on somebody or look to spit on someone. Obviously, he's a controversial figure. Great player, like on the pitch, but yeah, and like as you say, his mentality is kind of set up to win, and he doesn't mind being that kind of hate figure. He's had a lot of controversies going through, so wouldn't be surprised if he's involved in one again. So I guess remains to be seen what he'll do, and if any of us are right, then that'd be great. I don't want him to spit on anybody, but it'd be interesting to see.
That's true. Anyway, I think we'll leave it at that.
Cool. Speak to you soon.
See you.